Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Laing, and today I'm going to be talking about mastering your mind. So, what the main theme that I want everyone to take away from this is this quote by Carl Jung, and it goes like this: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. So hopefully this will make sense by the end of this talk, what this quote means. And I hope to help you make the unconscious in your life more conscious, make the unaware aware to you so that we can start to live in our genius and do that on tap rather than by fluke. So I'll tell you a wee bit about myself and my journey first. So I started out in life as a child, carefree, but it was when I started going into school and discovering that I wasn't like everyone else, and I used to actually think that there was something wrong with me. I started to believe that I was stupid. This was the belief that I started to develop, and it turned out that I was actually dyslexic. And I remember having a quite a sad moment when I found out that, because I labeled that as something was wrong with me and I wasn't like other people and I could never be like other people. I seen that as a very negative thing at that stage of my life while I was in primary school, and they were going to keep me back a year from all my friends going up to high school. And I just believed something was wrong with me. And it reminds me of the quote: if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will go around its life believing that it's stupid. So this was me. This was the way that I looked at things, that I was told that I had to climb a tree, and metaphorically, and I was put into this box in school that just didn't fit the way that I thought very creatively. And then I tried a few things after school, just struggled right through primary school, high school. I had some learning support teachers, which again just embarrassed me. I was getting taken out of the classroom to get extra support and help, and just built up this really negative belief about myself that I was stupid and that I was not going to do very well at life outside of school. And it turned out that this actually affected my self-esteem, and I really just didn't really find out who I was during that period of going from school into college into um, jobs, which I managed to get through the probation period sometimes. Sometimes I got fired or lost the job because I wasn't very good. So I wasn't really finding anything that was fitting me. Felt very much like an outcast. So I kind of got to a point where I was rock bottom, my own version of rock bottom. To everyone that was my friends and family, it looked like things were fine, but for me, deep inside, I had a lot of anxiety. Uh, I didn't know that at the time. I wouldn't have even labeled it that at the time. I had a lot of anxiety, low self-esteem, low self-worth, and I found life really difficult. And I actually found a way around that, which was just basically binge drinking when we went out to parties, and I became this party animal. And on the surface, it looked like I was having a good time, but deep inside, there was a lot of problems that started to bubble up through my as I went into my 20s. And I just felt the need for change. And one time I actually lost my final job, and I'd watched my dad be an entrepreneur. I was always very inspired. So I decided not to get another job and just jump into working as a business owner and started a web design company. And there I started to actually have some success in my life. But it wasn't until I asked my dad if he would recommend a book. And I started picking up books. And one of the books he recommended was Take Charge of Your Life by Jim Rohn. And I remember a sort of profound moment in my car. And I was feeling all these things at the time. But Jim Rohn said this sentence that to gather it all up, and he was talking about knowledge, about learning, because there's nothing worse than being stupid. And I remember that just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was actually humorous, but I felt it like it was almost an attack on myself, and I felt really bad when I heard that. And he went on to say, "There's nothing worse than being stupid. There's nothing worse than being sick, ugly, broken, stupid." And like a few of these things I was feeling at that time, I wasn't living very well, and then across this journey of learning from Jim Rohn to go on the journey of learning and becoming a student, I came across the what I call the 80/20 of all personal development, and it's called superconsciousness. And I'll explain what superconsciousness is in a second, but this led to me basically finding success in my life, tapping into superconsciousness. And today I have some sort of financial freedom through very systemized businesses. I have a wife who was able to quit her job through what we've created successfully in business. And she stays at home as a mum, living her purpose. She helps with the business with our four beautiful young children. And I do a lot of marathon runs. I live a very good life, and I lead a lot of people through my business, the team that I've been building, and I mentor people. Currently writing a book, and I'm getting invited to be a speaker. So life's starting to take off. So I've started to realize this thing, super consciousness, what I've been learning about and what's been helping me has really worked. This stuff works, and people are seeing that as well. And again, getting invited to podcasts and interviews, and becoming a mentor and help people asking for my help and asking what I'm doing. And this just really made me realize that I need to start sharing this with people so that I can help people who are feeling like me 10 years ago go on the same journey to better their life. So, super consciousness, I sort of break it down very simply. It is you've got your ego and you've got your genius. So, the ego kind of holds us back. The genius is like the best version of ourselves. When we're tapped into our soul, our inner wisdom, some people would say God, universal intelligence. And this is like where, when we tap into that version of ourselves, stillness, we get luck, but I don't like to call it luck. I like to call it synchronicity or signs, and shows that we're in alignment when we're in our genius. When we're in our ego, the ego is just trying to control us and keep us safe and control the situation and think ahead and keep us comfortable. Um, and when we're being courageous and bold, we're usually in our genius. We're acting, we're following the sort of the path that's laid out for us in our from our soul, from our purpose in life, which I'll go on to as well. The ego really is stuck in fear and tries to just keep things the same, doesn't want to grow, wants to stay in the comfort zone. And a lot of the time it's just stuck in pattern and habit, and we just live the same life. Like once we become 35, supposedly all our actions are just habits from the past, and we just live the same. Like so that's why they say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. But there is a solution to that, and we can go into that programming and change it and make our habits directed towards our actual life purpose. So we really just need to make sure that anything that's unconscious to us, we need to be moving towards starting to be more aware. I have this picture in my head of like a iceberg, and it's the tip of the iceberg, which is your consciousness, and below that tip is the rest of the foundations of the iceberg, and that's your subconscious mind and your unconscious mind, and that is basically 90%. The 10% is the tip of the iceberg. And a lot of the time we're acting in the unconscious, and we're not aware of what we're doing. We're just going through the motions on autopilot. So if we start living more consciously, we're able to actually direct our lives how we want things to go, and we can do it in a very short space of time. I've realized, and I've done all of this. Like, I'm only 35. I'm fairly young for some of the things I've achieved in my life. So this brings me on to alignment, and I call it the yellow brick road. So follow your yellow brick road. And if you're on your yellow brick road, you're in alignment. And there's this phrase that fortune favors the bold. It's when we take leaps and take courageous actions towards these signs, these things that feel right to go and do, while our ego's kicking in and telling us not to do it. This is where things start to happen. I was singing a song the other day, and I was singing the literal word dreams, and I seen a van going past for in the UK. There's a company called Dreams for beds and pillows, I think it is, and just things like that gives me like sort of shiver down the spine, because I know that when I see things like that happening, synchronicities or coincidences, people would call it, I know that I don't call it a coincidence. I know that I'm just aligned and I'm on my path, because I was going to this workshop. I was feeling nervous about going to this workshop, but I did it anyway. So this is what it feels like to be in your to push into your genius and fight against your ego, because you can only really neutralize your ego temporarily. It doesn't go away. It's part of who you are. And fear doesn't just go away. We can neutralize it temporarily so we can get on with our vision. And when we're not aligned, you'll feel things like getting sick, anxious, depressed, unhappy. So these are just signs to know that you're out of alignment. You need to go back and connect back to your purpose. So look for these signs, listen to these signs, and trust the process, trust your intuition, and get away from overthinking everything. And this will help you get more aligned. Um, so just some definitions of the genius and ego. What are the differences again? Intuition, wisdom, God, intelligence, no space, no body, no time, and your soul. This is what I define under the category of genius. And then with your ego, it's the comfort, the safety, the ego is just trying to keep you safe. It's trying to control things by and trying to keep you safe ultimately from embarrassing yourself or injuring or hurting yourself or even death. And a lot of the time it's quite dysfunctional behavior. It's a old part of our program that's not always necessary. It can protect us from things, but a lot of the time it's over the top. It's not needed. Fear, false expectations appearing real, that is the acronym they say. And then it's very physical, logical, and thinking. But the genius, we're more from our soul with that. Like, we let go of time, and we can really act from um, intuition and from our heart. So just look out for if you're in alignment or if you're not, and look for those signs. And this takes me on to life purpose. And this is what really connects us all together. If we can make sure that we're not setting goals from the ego, which I call egos. Um, and egos are things like the materialistic things, the celebrity, the money. But if we can create goals from our soul, and find out our soul's life purpose, what we're meant to be, what we're here to do. Like, I could have spoke about marketing and business growth, but I'm speaking about something that I'm very passionate and enthusiastic about. And was what I was guided to talk about today. And this is what I mean about following your soul's purpose over what your ego would maybe guide you to do. And that's the safety. It's safe to just talk about business for me, but I'm talking about this level of stuff because this is what brings me alive. This is what lights me up. Um, and we have to push past our comforts to do that sometimes. And I think planning and visioning and getting really connected to who am I and what do I want is really important just to make sure that we're not falling into other people's plans. Like there's this great Jim Rohn quote that goes along the lines of, if you don't design your own life plan, the chances are you'll fall into someone else's life plan and work for their dreams rather than your own dream. So we need to get very clear and deep into uh, presence and vision and set goals from the soul rather than from the surface layer. Because the surface layer just comes up with money, materialistic things. And when we go deeper and we actually ask what we want, it's very irrelevant to like money and influence and materialistic things I've found. It's very random. Like I'm a business owner, and when things come up when I do this visioning process, I always find they seem irrelevant, but actually that's what I want. And if I focus on that vision, regardless of fear and things, what tends to happen is I get the money, the materialistic things, and other things that I want as well. That comes along with it. But if you just focus on the vision from the soul, this is how things start to align and work out for you. And it's about letting go, it's about surrendering a wee bit so that you're trusting the intelligence that's guiding your path, the yellow brick road. Like it is created already. You just need to get on it and do the actions, program the mind to stay there and stay in that zone. And there's a few things that you can do to stay in your genius, like meditate, movement, clean diets, because when you have a junk food diet, it switches off your third eye. Your third eye is like where your intuition, where it accesses that power. And when we switch that off, we lose the ability to tap into that intelligence. And then again, courageously and trusting that process and taking the steps towards that vision and purpose. And basically affirmations and putting like positive things into our mind or putting our vision into our mind, because by default when we wake up every morning we move into the ego just is the default when we wake up. So like I said, we can't get rid of it. It's always going to come back. So you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be back in your default autopilot and think and start stressing and panicking about day-to-day things, the current reality. But we need to constantly put ourselves into the vision. What's the vision? What do I want? And you can only do that by going deep. And I have got a bonus with this today, which is a course called Mindset Rehab. And in that, I've got a powerful visualization meditation process that will help you find your life's purpose. It's a big statement, I know, but it does exactly that. And once you find that, there's further processes that I can take people through to really get it nailed down. You can create this mind movie, which is like a vision board, but it's created by you with your voice, visuals, videos, music, inspired music that's close to your heart. And then you can watch this movie every morning and feel like it's your own motivational video and feel inspired. So these are a few of the processes that I take people through to find their life's purpose and then to actually instill that into their day-to-day life so that every day they're getting out of their default and they're getting back into the focus on the life purpose that they're here to do. And it's like a reminder for them and putting that in like an affirmation into your subconscious mind. And when you're putting that into your subconscious mind, you're now making things happen. Uh, you're now attracting and manifesting it without really trying. You're not forcing it. It's really coming through your power that you can tap into if you follow some of this advice here. A few other things that you can do to you want to like turn down the noise of the ego and turn up the noise of the genius. The way that you can turn down the noise of the ego is actually facing it, putting light on it. And that's what neutralizes it, actually being aware of it. Like I said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll direct your life. So be aware of what's in your ego, what's in your belief, like my limiting belief before about being stupid or anything else like that I can't do this or I can't do that. Just watch your words because that's what's in your programming. And just writing it down, talking therapy can be good, journaling, verbal journaling. I have a friend we do a call with every Sunday, and reflection is just so good. Don't let a week go by without reflecting on your week for at least an hour. And do that like at the end of the year. Take a week to reflect on your year. So like don't let things go by, don't let things go past you. Be more conscious about what's going on in your life, and then you can start to address those things. A lot of people just live in autopilot and let life pass them by year, and they don't ever take time to sit back and go, wait a minute, and work smarter rather than harder. So this is all just about working smarter and being more aware and conscious of things. So one of the ways that I get into my genius is a process that is really rising above. It's just meditation, and it's a very quick meditation that I close my eyes and I connect to. Um, I find a symbol and I trust that symbol as a guide, as like a guiding post, as a sign towards something. So I can create content from that through practicing this. I did a challenge called 365 days of ice bath. So I did an ice bath for 3 minutes every morning for a whole year and every day in a row. And in that, I had to get present to get into that freezing cold water in Scotland every single morning. So this stuff really works. Like this, what I'm talking about has helped me get through the ice bath challenge. But also, I came up with content because I filmed it all by asking for a symbol and what content I want to create today. And I use that symbol process often to find ways around business problems, life problems. My answer to a lot of questions in business and anything, someone asked me today, where do you get your energy from? Purpose. I'm inspired because I'm connected to my purpose. How uh, do you have advice on recruitment? And I tend to always go back to this stuff. I talk about following the signs. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you call it fate. Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.